So, you want to know more about tax codes? Well, you've come to the right place because that is exactly what I'll be discussing in this video. I'll be going through what tax codes are, how you can go about updating your tax code, and what emergency tax codes are. If you need to skip to a specific section, feel free to do so. I've put timestamps down in the description below. So, what is a tax code? Essentially, what a tax code is that it's a code that is used by your employer or pension provider to work out how much income tax you will take from your pay or your pension. HM Revenue and Customs, so HMRC, will tell them which code to use, and you can usually see that on your payslips. And the code is usually split into two parts, as you can see there. The first part being made up by numbers, and the second part is usually a letter. And so how do they go about making up this code? Well, HMRC works out your individual number based on your tax-free personal allowance and income that you have not paid tax on, such as untaxed interest or part-time earnings. They will also consider the value of any benefits you get from your job, such as a company car. And then for the last section, which is the letter, that refers to your situation and how it affects your personal allowance. So I'll go into more detail about this now just so you can understand it a little bit better. So the number part, the basic personal allowance, which on average most people will have for 2022 to 2023, is 12,570. And if your income is therefore below your personal allowance, that will mean that you do not make full use of your personal allowance and you will lose the unused part. So just as an example, let's say you have an income of 15,570 and your personal allowance is 12,570. That means you will pay tax on £3,000. That's because anything lower than 12,570 is your allowance and you can have it tax free. However, doing a simple calculation of taking away your income from your allowance leaves us with £3,000, meaning you will just be taxed on then that amount and nothing else, obviously assuming there is nothing else to be involved. Now, looking at the letter part of this section, there are many different codes which someone can receive, so it's best to go to the link in the description if it's not mentioned here and go look up the code you have if you need to know more information about it. However, as I did say before, the letter refers to the situation that you are in and how it affects your personal allowance. So as an example, most people will have the letter L after their tax code, which means that you are entitled to the standard tax-free personal allowance, which I just mentioned in my last example. So you can go through here and try to determine why you have the code you have. So moving on to the next part of the presentation, updating tax codes. So in most cases, HMRC will automatically update your tax code when your income changes. For example, if you start a new job or you start getting pension, you will receive an updated tax code automatically. However, if HMRC has the wrong information about your income, then you may be given an incorrect tax code. Therefore, to correct your tax code, make sure HMRC has the up-to-date details about your income, and you can go down in the description below to see the link for updating your tax code. So now, to give you some examples of where you might need to update your tax code, I've listed them all here. So you may start to get income from additional job or pension that you've recently taken on. Then you would need to go to make sure your tax code has been updated because this will change how much you are being taxed. Another example is that your employer has told HMRC that you've either started or stopped getting benefits from your job, such as the company car mentioned before. If you have started receiving that, let HMRC know, or if you've stopped receiving it, make sure they know, because like I said before, it affects the amount of tax you have to pay. Then next up, we have also if you start getting state benefits, you must make sure your tax code is updated. And then we also have if you are then in a position to start claiming marriage allowance. This would require you updating your tax code. So make sure you look into this, and if you have any questions around this, leave a comment down below. Then finally, we also have you claiming expenses that you get tax relief on. This would definitely be a situation where you need to make sure HMRC are aware and you update your tax code. Now going on to the final section, which is emergency tax codes. You either may just be interested in what this is, or you may have an emergency tax code, so you need to know more information. Hopefully that is all answered here. So, why might this come about? Well, HMRC might apply an emergency tax code to your salary if it doesn't have enough details about how much tax you need to pay. This means you may miss out on a tax-free allowance which would normally benefit you. So just to give you an example, if that doesn't make sense, the most common time that people find they have an emergency tax code is when they start working for a new company. Because they haven't received a P45 that informs HMRC of the new job, they would need to have an emergency tax code to tax them accordingly in the meantime. However, as soon as you receive your P45 from your employer, you'll be able to claim that tax back, so there's no issues. So what tax codes do we have? Well, we have M1, W1, X, and OT. There are a few other emergency codes you may receive, however, these are the main ones, so if you need to know the others, check the link in the description again. So just a bit of context around these ones. M1, meaning you are being paid monthly, so you'll get the code M1. W1, meaning you are paid weekly. X as if it's you being paid in a non-standard way, so they need to cover it by that letter. And then OT means they have insufficient information about what you're currently doing with your employer. So you get assigned the letters OT at the end of your numbers. Hopefully that all makes sense and you now understand tax codes a lot better. If not, or you need more information, head over to my Instagram where I have a lot more posts and more information online where you can view and also message me. Please do leave a like down below, it helps the video out massively and helps grow the channel so I can post more content like this.